Check out my new game Raven's Core for the Game Boy and Game Boy Color. You can even play it in emulators just like the one featured in this video. You can download Raven's Core for free at the link in the video description. No matter whether you want to enjoy your favorite retro games on your Wii U on the big screen, or play them in portable form on your Wii U's Gamepad, this video's got you covered. With just one simple download, we'll have RetroArch up and running on your Wii U so that you can play dozens of game systems and tens of thousands of your favorite retro games in no time at all. Grab your Wii U and your PC. We're about to press start on a whole new gaming experience on your Wii U. You'll need a jailbroken Wii U for this process to work correctly. If you haven't jailbroken your Wii U yet, I have a link in the video description to help you through the process. You'll need the SD card that you used to jailbreak your Nintendo Wii U, and your Wii U needs to be connected to the internet. What's really cool about getting RetroArch for the Wii U is that it's hosted right inside the Wii U's Homebrew App Store. We're going to install it, and I have it linked for you in the video description. On this GitHub page, scroll down through the listings until you get to the Assets section. Make sure you scroll down through Assets until you see the listing that says Wii U extract to SD.zip. Click on this file to download it to your computer. From your Windows desktop, go ahead and open up a File Explorer window for your Downloads folder. The Homebrew App Store ships in .zip format, and you'll need to extract it. Right-click, select Extract All, and you can extract it directly to the Downloads folder. Once you've extracted it, you can delete the zip file out of your Downloads folder. Double-click into the newly created folder. Inside here, you'll find a subfolder that's called Wii U. You don't have to go any farther into the subfolders at this point. We'll need to copy this subfolder over to the root of your SD card from your Wii U. To facilitate this, I'm just going to move the File Explorer window for downloads over to the left side. Grab the SD card from your Wii U and insert it into your computer. From here, I'm going to take this window and just drag and drop it over to the right side. Make note that there's already a folder on your SD card that's called Wii U, so what we're going to do is actually merge these two folders together. Over in your Downloads folder, grab the Wii U folder and drag and drop it directly onto the root of the SD card. Make note, this is really important. Don't drag it into one of the subfolders. Make sure you drag it directly onto the root of the SD card. With the two Wii U folders merged on your SD card, you can remove the SD card from your computer. Also, you can go back to the root of your Downloads folder, and you can delete the Wii U extract to SD folder as you don't need it any longer. And don't forget, if you need it later, it's still archived for you in your recycle bin. Insert the SD card into your Wii U and power it on. From the main menu of your Wii U, navigate to the Mi Maker application and launch it. If you haven't done this in a while, you might remember that this is the way to launch the Homebrew launcher on the Wii U. What you see on screen may differ depending on which apps you've already installed on your SD card. Locate and select HB App Store, then select Load to launch it. This is really cool because not only will you be able to install RetroArch from the Homebrew App Store, you'll have access to many other applications as well. From the Wii U Gamepad, tap on the search icon in the left navigation bar. Type the word Retro on the virtual keyboard and you'll see the icon for RetroArch appear. Tap on it and you'll be taken to the download page for RetroArch. If you take a look in the bottom right corner, you can either tap on Download here or press the A button on the Wii U Gamepad to start the download process. In real time, this takes a few minutes. Just leave your system as is and let the Homebrew App Store do its magic. Once it's downloaded, you're done with the Homebrew App Store. Press the minus button on your Wii U Gamepad to go back to the Wii U home menu. Let's launch RetroArch for the first time so it can set up some key files and folders on your SD card. Select Mi Maker from the home menu to reopen it. From here, you'll see that you now have access to RetroArch. Select it from the menu, then select Load to launch it for the first time. This takes care of setting up the necessary files and folders on your SD card. From here, the only thing that you need to do is exit RetroArch. Use the D-pad on the Wii U Gamepad to navigate down to Quit RetroArch and select it with the A button. This will take you back to the Homebrew Launcher main menu. From here, go ahead and power off your Wii U, remove the SD card from your Wii U and put it back in your computer. You see, the thing is, RetroArch is working perfectly fine now, but you don't have any games or system BIOS files installed yet. Let's fix that. I have some system BIOS files and game ROMs already pre-saved in a folder on my computer called Demos. I'll open it up here so we can take a look at the contents together. On the left side of the screen is the File Explorer window for Demo, and on the right side, the root of the SD card. Take a look in this folder titled ROMs. I have a handful of game systems represented here, and I've specifically included 𝐘𝐈𝐒𝐿inks because it requires the use of a system BIOS file for its games to work correctly inside RetroArch. Going back one level to the root of this demo folder, I also have a subfolder here called System. It has the BIOS files necessary for 𝐘𝐈𝐿inks games, along with some other BIOS files that aren't demonstrated here in this video. Over on your SD card, when you launched RetroArch for the first time, it actually created a RetroArch folder right on the root of your SD card. From here, you can grab the ROMs and System BIOS files folder and just drag and drop them directly into the RetroArch folder on the root of your Wii U's SD card. Once you have your content copied over, you're done with your computer. You can remove the SD card from your computer, put it back into your Wii U, and turn it on. Just like you did previously, select Me Maker from the Wii U's home menu to reopen the Homebrew Launcher. From Homebrew Launcher, navigate to RetroArch, select it, and select Load to reload it. From the main menu of RetroArch, you can use either the Wii U Gamepad or a connected Wiimote to use the D-pad to move the highlight down to Online Updater and select it with the A button. You can think of RetroArch as the big repository for all the game systems, and you can think of cores as the individual game systems themselves. To get the needed cores, select Core Downloader with the A button. From here, you'll see a listing of all of the available cores to you inside the Wii U version of RetroArch. Use the D-pad to scroll down to the various game system cores that you need and select them with the A button to download and install them into RetroArch. In this case, I'm downloading cores for the NES, Super NES, Game Boy, Sega Genesis, and Atari Lynx. Press the B button to go back to the Online Updater menu once you've downloaded the cores that you need. From here, I recommend that you do the following. First, select Update Installed Cores. Next, scroll down to the listing for on-demand thumbnail downloads and turn this option on. Next, I recommend that you run the following updates. Update Core Info Files, Update Assets, and be aware that this one takes quite a bit of time to download and install. Update Controller Profiles, Update Cheats, hey, you know me, no judgments. Update Databases, Update Overlays, and last but not least, scroll down to the bottom listing for Update Slang Shaders and select it. I want to take a moment to point this out since this happened to me and it just might happen to you while you're doing your downloads. The first time I attempted to update cheats inside RetroArch, it crashed not only RetroArch but the entire Wii U system. If this happens to you, all you need to do is power off your system, relaunch RetroArch, and restart the download. Next up, we need to tell RetroArch where to find the system BIOS files you put on your SD card. Here's how that's done. Using either the Wii U Gamepad or a Wiimote, use the D-pad to move the highlight over to the left navigation section. From here, scroll down until you get to the listing for Settings and select Settings with the A button. Press up on the D-pad one time to go all the way to the bottom of this list and you'll see a setting here for Directory. Select it with the A button. The very first listing inside Directory is for the location of your system BIOS files. In this case, it'll be that system folder that you copied over to the RetroArch subfolder on your SD card. To update the setting with the correct location, press the A button. You'll probably be several layers deep inside the submenus on your SD card. Press the A button on Parent Directory several times until you get back to the listing for SD in the RetroArch subfolder as shown at the top of the screen. Now that you're in the right place, use the D-pad to move the highlight down until you get to the listing with your system folder. Select it with the A button. To lock in this change, use the D-pad to scroll down to Use this directory and press the A button. Now that change is locked in, let's import your games into RetroArch. Press the B button to go back, then left to go to the navigation menu. Scroll down to Import Content and select it with the A button. From the list of submenu choices, pick Scan Directory with the A button. You'll be prompted to provide the location of your ROMs folder. In this case, we put them on the SD card, but you could optionally put them on USB media as well. So for this example, select SD with the A button. From the root of your SD card, use the D-pad to move the highlight down to get to the RetroArch folder and select it with the A button. From here, you should see the ROMs folder that you copied over that contains your game content. Select it with the A button. Inside this submenu, use the D-pad to scroll down one time until you get to the listing for Scan this directory. Select it with the A button. Depending upon how many game ROMs you copied over to the SD card, this could take just a few seconds or it could take significantly longer. Once your game content has been copied over, press the B button several times to go back to the RetroArch main menu. You'll now see playlists in the left navigation structure that match the content that you just imported. What's really cool here is if you go back over to the left navigation by pressing the B button, then scroll down to these playlists, not only will you see the content inside each of these playlists, you'll see that when you open each of these games for the first time, the box art or thumbnail art will automatically be downloaded and displayed when you hover over each of these game names with the highlight. I always like to show an Atari Lynx game because it requires that two things be right. First of all, the game path, and second of all, the system BIOS files path. So I'm going to select California Games here and run it from inside RetroArch. And sure enough, the game fires right up and we're ready to go. You may have noticed that the Game Boy content shown in the ROMs folder did not import into the left navigation in RetroArch. In this case, that folder contains my original game Raven's Core in .gb format. If your content doesn't load automatically through the import process, here's how you load it. First, go to Load Content from the main menu. Just like you did when you imported content, you'll see a list of storage locations for your Wii U. In this case, I'll select SD for SD card. Just like before, head down to the RetroArch folder and select it. Then scroll down to the ROMs folder and select it. But this time you'll need to select the specific folder that has the ROM content that you want to launch. In this case, it's going to be Game Boy, so I'll scroll down to the Game Boy folder and select it with the A button. Now you can scroll down to the archive with your non-imported content, in this case Raven's Core, and select it with the A button. You'll be presented with a list of core options. Scroll down to the one that matches the content that you plan to launch and select it with the A button. And just like that, you'll be battling your way to the Raven's Core. Hey, this is great and all, but there's an important thing you can still do with your Wii U, and if you skip out on this, you're really missing out. Learn how to play backups of your favorite Wii U games on USB media, no disc required. I've got that video shown on screen and linked in the description and pinned comment.